Welcome to Talmudic Treasures. Today we are learning Gittin page 70, which teaches us the proper ways of being able to have good eating habits in order to avoid any stomach problems, and also the proper amount of food one should eat. Many people quote Maimonides, which is actually found directly on this page of the Talmud. It tells us that when it comes to eating, a person should view their stomach in thirds. 1/3 you should fill it up with food, 1/3 with liquid, and then the last third should be empty. The Talmud tells us that it's not a good thing for a person to eat completely until they're stuffed. That's not a healthy way of behaving. And in fact, it says, the way it explains it, is that if a person ends up getting angry, a person has these feelings, there's no space anymore inside of them, and therefore they'll end up attacking or expressing themselves in a negative way. Basically, the idea is that if a person has a full stomach, you're not going to feel well, and therefore it's going to probably cause you to end up speaking or acting inappropriately. It's telling us that the proper way of eating is to make sure that it's not too much food in your stomach. And I was once explained, it's kind of similar, the digestive system, to a washing machine. If you want your clothes to be properly washed, so you cannot fill up the washing machine. If you end up doing that, it ends up all getting stuck because there's no movement. And therefore, if you want your laundry to be clean and you want the machine to operate and function properly, you want it to be only partially full. So this way there's enough space for all the different mechanisms and steps for your clothes to get clean, which is the same thing when it comes to the digestive system. If your stomach is so full, it makes it more challenging and difficult for a person to be able to digest their food. And in fact, the Talmud tells us that if you want to avoid choili mayim, stomach issues, of feeling pain, so one of the things it advises, first of all, you should involve in dipping your food, which perhaps what that includes, what that means is when you are not just eating quickly, but you spend a few moments and you dip the food, then you eat it, so you're eating a little bit slower. We know that if a person eats very quickly, that certainly is not good for the digestive system, and that could perhaps also lead to be able to eat more than you should. A person who eats very, very quickly. Instead, you should be very mindful and think about what you're eating, eat slowly, enjoy your food, but eat slowly. And by doing that, you'll probably eat less, and also you'll be able to have your food digest, won't hurt your stomach. It also says that at a certain point, when you have food, you should distance yourself from it. And again, just because you have a delicious amount of food, sometimes our eyes are bigger than our stomachs, which is very interesting. That's on this page, which is daf ayin. Ayin means the eye. Sometimes when we eat, we're looking with our eyes. Our eyes are bigger than our stomachs. And therefore, you have to be careful not to take too much food and not to consume so much. You should leave some over. And then finally, it seems pretty obvious, but it says that when you need to use the bathroom, go to the bathroom. A person should make sure that as part of the digestive system, in order to make sure that things digest properly, you have to make sure that you use the bathroom on a regular basis and that you should not be constipated or hold yourself back. So these are things that the Talmud tells us. And even though one could say, well, what does this have to do with Torah? The Torah requires us, ushmartim od l'nafsho seichem, that we have to take good care of our health. We cannot eat in a gluttonous manner. Not only is it a negative trait, but it also will affect us physically, which will cause us to be more difficult for us to be successful when it comes to serving Hashem. We should be always mindful, therefore, when we eat, not to eat all the way, but only 2/3, leaving 1/3 behind.